And we're live. Good evening, everyone, and welcome. Yes, my name is ArrowFyre. Welcome to Let's Talk Transformers, episode 13. I am joined this evening by three wonderful co-hosts, friends of the channel who you would have seen before. I have Steve, Skywarp SCS. I have PrimeTime Moff from PrimeTime Toys. I have Big Dave Wallace from TF Nation. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me this evening. Should we play a loud intro? You've been warned. This is your only warning.
Let's talk Transformers.
Did I cut out for you?
Oh, I don't know. I think I'm deaf.
You're deaf now on that. I tell people every time, but it seemed to cut out halfway a little bit for me. So I'm going to have to listen to that back. But there you go. Sounds like Judas Priest. Why not? So we'll start off with some news. And I hope you like your news in the flavour of Broadside, and particularly a very small one, because there's a lot of it. So I'm going to try. This is just the first one that's come out really small. But this is. Oh, my scroll doesn't work. But I can do this. No, it's too much. Right. Doctor Wu that have announced many, many broadsides. So Doctor Wu, did I see micro class? Is that what they're calling it? Because it's really on the small end. Moff, you'll know this probably better than me.
Yeah, I've just got what Doctor Wu's kicking about. Yeah, they really are small. They're fun, but they're really small.
Very, very small. So I don't really know how a broadside is going to work up to that. But if you want a broadside, let's try and go on to the next image. There we go. That's a bit better. We have the typical grey cartoon. These have only been released sort of last night, overnight. So I'm not going to go too mad on them because they won't have been on too many other outlets. But yep, that's how he's looking, nice and grey and red. And
so is this not by the kind of Mechanic Studios side? So it's kind of not really Doctor Wu. It's more in line with. Just grab. Oh, maybe not. I was going to grab the Sandstorm. So the kind of Sandstorm was Mechanic Studios. So although it's Doctor Wu, it's not the actual same scale as the proper small ones.
Well, I was wondering that because it's got Mechanic Studio in it. What's the difference then? Is that like an offshoot of Doctor Wu?
I'll take my headset off for 2 seconds and I'll show you the Sandstorm so you can see scale.
All right. So
I don't think broadside is the one triple change you can use the word scale with, to be fair.
Yeah, he's a bit of a joke when it comes to
that's your Doctor Wu and that's your Mechanic Studios skills. So
which is which? Which one's
this is Mechanic Studios? Yeah. So I think this is they're obviously going more a triple changer route. So kind of go with a Sandstorm. The Sandstorm's amazing. Like I've got 2 versions of it because it's just so good. It properly is like an articulated G1 toy. It's gorgeous. And it's certainly much more in line with your kind of new age.
As you say, it kind of works more for triple changes, doesn't it? Particularly something on the scale of broadside with a very straight looking aircraft carrier with some nice little aerial parts. I like that. That's cool.
I was impressed with that. Yeah.
But we have more. So the world's most useless jet version, it is the worst one of it, isn't it? That he can turn into. I kind of wish he wouldn't turn into it. I'd be happy with him just being a boat, if I'm honest. Boats, Dave. We get boats in there somewhere. But yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's a plane, isn't it? If you squint and
it's definitely not a pen with wings.
It's better than the Titan's return plane.
I don't know.
Standards are very high.
I was going to say bad or slightly less bad. But being broadside, he can come with this. Now, I never got this. Why did he look like this and then not like this all of a sudden? Why did he have the sudden makeover halfway through? The answer's on a postcard.
I'd have to look it up. Is it not something to do with the G1 prototype that was shown in the original G1 toy catalogs and then the final version, and different people had different working versions at different times?
it's quite a change, though, isn't it? When you consider the red face to sort of the eye visor. But in case people are wondering, yes, there is ever so slight differences. The one we saw, the more traditional face-plated one, has slightly blue engines. This one with the red face has red engines. I just thought I'd throw that out there, but it are different versions. But then there's this blue one, and I've never seen this blue one before. I don't know what G2. I haven't got a clue. I've never seen blue broadside ever. So it's a thing. It's blue, but at least the planes look nice. And slightly blue jet. There you go. Sorry to spend the first 5 minutes of this live stream talking about broadside. So we were talking about this just before we went live. There have been some early, I say early, it's really America who have been getting hold of theirs early. The HasLab Omega Prime has started to come out in, is it America first and then followed up with Asia? And then we're getting it in July. Keep me honest.
Sounds right.
Yeah, I think we're due to get it in July here. Strangely enough, they felt the need to get all of it from China to America really, really quickly. Not sure why.
I mean, there could be a topic for discussion in there somewhere. Maybe we'll see. Maybe we'll see. But it looks really nice. I particularly like the box art, but you don't buy these things for the boxes. But I think that looks really cool. I do like this, but I also think the original toy looked really cool as well. What is the view of you fine folk of this HasLab?
It was the first HasLab I backed, and I backed it like as soon as it went up. I cannot wait for it.
Oh, that's interesting. It's the first HasLab I did not back. And to be honest, the only reason that I didn't, because I think it looks awesome, but the only reason that I didn't is because I have zero faith that we're going to get any more RID.
I don't disagree. I really don't disagree with that.
That's it, And to be honest, this is like something that I've been saying for a while, is that if you're going to pull something out of the dim and distant past and blow the cobwebs off, Hasbro needs to be more upfront with its consumer base about what it's prepared to commit. Like we have this, and we have one of the Autobot brothers, and we had a Scourge like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, what else?
We're getting Skybite.
We're getting Skybite, yeah.
We had Tow Line. Like,
are we getting Tow Line?
No, we've had Tow Line. We've had Tow Line.
Yeah,
have we?
Yeah, it was a buzz. It was came out in the buzzworthy bumblebee packaging. That was easy for me to say.
Yeah.
But so I agree. I want a Megatron. You want a Megatron to go with this, don't you?
Oh, yeah. But surely,
if they announced a Megatron to go with, I think you'd be more keen to go.
But that's just it. If we had Star Saber followed up with Death Sora, surely logic would say that a Megatron would follow this, and that's when it's going to be a bit like, I kind of wish I'd back this now once that comes out.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And that's the thing, like, isn't it? Like, regret, you're always going to have buyer's remorse, whether you backed it or you didn't, depending on how much of a collection you actually want. With the Armada stuff now, once once Red Alert is out, I'm kind of like done with Armada, because it's like, in my head, it's like once you've got Optimus Prime, Hotshot, and Red Alert, that you're done with Armada. They are kind of like the three main guys.
It's a smaller cast, though, wasn't it? I was going to say Rail Racer, but that's 2001, isn't it? But yeah, you're right. You're kind of flipping out of Armada pretty quickly because they kept it so thin. But you're right. I could see room for more RID, though, and I wouldn't be against that in the slightest.
100%. Like, to be honest, even if it was just the case that they would give us the other two Autobot brothers, Prowl and X-Brawn, I'd probably track one of these down because it looks awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I want Brave Max. Give me a Brave Max. God damn it.
Yeah, I can see. I can see them chucking a Ruination at that new Legacy Bruticus. I would not be surprised to see that happen.
Oh
yeah,
undoubtedly.
I mean, that's the great thing about the Combaticons, isn't it? So much repaint option.
Yeah, loads of potential. Loads of potential.
In fact, actually, like the Ruination just screams HasLab exclusive.
Oh, well, Walmart exclusive, Target exclusives. Oh, we're back to that again, aren't we?
Yeah.
Well, when they did combine, if you cast your mind back, when they did Combiner Wars, they did Ruination in Unite Warriors. So the Ruination decoed Combaticons were a Takara exclusive. So yeah, not out the realms of possibility.
It's not. I'd hope they don't make them so kind of niche to track down, though. If they just kind of throw it out in the general market, and they'll say, well, what's the point? More people are going to buy Bruticus than they are going after Ruination. Fair enough. But if you start making it harder to track down, then it's going to be like this, isn't it? Waiting for it to come round in the next toy line just to get another bite of the cherry. Here we go. So yeah, I think people are going to be very interested at a certain convention, are they not? For a certain signing, as we were alluding to just before going live.
I was going to say, it's almost like we plan these things. I don't know.
I'd hope so, David. I hope so. So, yeah, it does look good. We'll see what it's like. I'm interested, as you say, one Moff that the only one that you backed, and interesting, Dave, the only one you didn't back. That's interesting. Right. So I've gone through twice. Oh, I haven't. Right. Tarn in Yolo Park, I believe. Very small. I had more images of this. Very interested with this. Yolo Park going very, dare I say, masterpiece at the moment. They're looking very accurate, very high end. And this, to me, looks like a real run for money of anything that's out there. I've got the MMC version, and it looks almost identical to the point I'm even looking at this now thinking, is that just the same thing? Have I just downloaded the same image and looking at it on the shelf? I don't think it is. No, the gun does look different, but it does look so bloody close. That's lovely, that image. So clean. I don't need to get it because I've already got one in Masterpiece scale, but I might just because I think it looks so bloody good. Thoughts?
Yeah, I think that if I'm right, there are two versions of it. So there's a kind of more simplistic one, and there's one with I know Andy. It's really poor. He calls himself an expert. It's really disappointing.
It's toe line, for God's sakes. Nobody cares about toe line.
So this comes in two variants.
Don't bite on the chat because then they just keep going at you.
I know. And then it's going to come with lights and stuff as well. So, I remember, Ian, when I was going through the Rise of the Beast Cheetah and Rhinox and I was texting you and I was just saying to you, like, these kits are amazing. The amount of engineering that's in them, the pistons that move. Yeah. I thought they were really good. The kind of smaller, the cheaper range. And then the AMK Pro stuff is just stunning. Their Optimus and Megatron are absolutely gorgeous. For
has a Starscream come out yet?
Yeah, I've got it. Well, I've got it for sale.
You've got it out there, yeah.
I never opened one because I was like, I've got one sitting, and if they then do the other two, I potentially would swap out with my Defamation Space, but I kept one aside. Worst case scenario, they don't do it, I can sell it, but that's the only problem with Seekers. Like, you want the three of them to be uniform, don't you? You don't want it to be one from this, one from that. Yeah, so, but they are really nice stuff. So I am very keen on this.
I just think this looks so sharp. Like, even looking at the things like detailing on the hands and the wrist, and it looks like. I mean, I know it won't transform, but then again, as I say, I've got the MMC version, which I really like. I haven't flipped that back into alt mode in ever, maybe a few times, but I think this looks great, and he looks just the right level of menacing to me, so I could easily go in for that. But
so I only bought, like, this is YOLO parts, isn't it? I bought the original Optimus Prime and Megatron, like, that first came out. You know, the one where, like, literally it's just plug in the hands, plug in like all of that stuff, and I found them to be absolutely dreadful. Like, they were just so boring. Like, it was quite clear to me that all they wanted to do was continue the Red series, but they weren't allowed to like release it as an action figure, so they just had to create it as a model kit. But I'm guessing this is like a different. So I tuned out with YOLO parts at that point, because I was like, I'm not interested. I'll have me blockies, thank you very much. At least they've got some personality to them. But looking at this, when you said this was YOLO parts, I was like, hold on a minute, have I missed something here?
No,
that looks awesome.
You're absolutely right. I will say, because I remember seeing your post on Blue Sky, I think when you mentioned that, I do think, Dave, you and I, like a lot of people, would swept up with blocky mania and the fun and enjoyment to the point that when you come away from it, and it's like coming away from HD TV, you just notice it a little bit more. And I wonder if it's a sense of was the fun and building of a blocky just not quite as matched with YOLO Park, however good it looks at the end.
See, I don't. For me, it hasn't got anything to do with the building, because I couldn't give a crap about model kit. Like, I've never been a Lego kid. Like, I want to open my box and have the toy there. Like, one of the best things that Blockies ever did was get rid of the whole having to assemble the joints thing.
Oh yeah, I don't miss that.
Because it just, it reduces the amount of time that I have to spend actually building them. But just looking at this in terms of sheer quality, I mean, this looks wonderful. Like, as somebody who, as age creeps in, I find myself less and less interested in whether or not it actually transforms or not. Because once you've done it a couple of times, do you ever need to do it again?
I agree with you. Like, there's some that you'll go back to and transform multiple times, but how many, Dave, have you put on your shelf and then you've never looked at it again?
Oh yeah, like don't get me wrong. Like The Fallen, who just came out. Like, I got him, and I was genuinely blown away by the cleverness in that transformation. Like, I thought, I've never seen this before. This is clever. I like this. All of that stuff. But that feeling is fleeting and rare in the year of our Lord 2025. So I am much more interested in a quality-looking robot mode like that now than the fact that it transforms into a tank.
I mean, and it helps the articulation that something like a Tarn or anything with a turret, or I'll forget the statue one of this. Was it Flame Toys? I can't remember. Moff, was it had like the hands were like claws, and you could get some real articulate, like evil Venom or Carnage kind of posing going on. And I just thought, I want that for Tarn. Of course, I want that for Tarn. That's brilliant. So I take the point. I'm all for transforming Transformers forever and a day. But there's some that I will just not do again. So I'm with your point, Dave, as well. I do see the point.
Don't get me wrong. It's in the name, Transformers. Like, I'm not platforming here for an all Action Master future. I'm just saying that sometimes, especially for a character like Tarn, who you don't really have any nostalgic attachment to in terms of like a toy that you had as a kid. Like, does he need to transform? Like,
he looks brilliant in robot mode. His alt mode's very secondary, isn't it, of the two? But yeah, no, that's looking really good. And we'll get onto some Beast Wars news. So this was I had it, Robot Toys, wasn't it?
Robot Toys, yeah.
Legend scale Tigatron with light up eyes. Looking very nice, I do think, even if Legend Scale was not my bag, but always try and get some Beast Wars news in. Pete's in the chat, so he'll be happy. Nice blue eyes, nice red eyes, gaping mouth. Love that. Do love that. And there he is alongside Cheetor, looking as he should do. I always felt that even when it came to the Masterpiece version, just in general, I just think he suits them all being bigger than Cheetor. Cheetor is very thin by comparison, but still comes with the Megatron head that he uses as a decoder, which I found so funny. It's like, why is this an accessory? Why is this a thing? But it's still a thing. He looks quite cool and very, very much robot legs at the back there, but don't look too hard. But always nice for some Tigatron love. Having just done I'll give my own plug here. Having just done the Fallen Comrades episode in my podcast, Beast Wars, That's Just Prime. You can go check it out. The introduction of Tigertron in the series. It's nice to have like-minded Beast Wars fans joining me this evening, unlike some other people, friends in the community who have other lesser views, shall we say.
I thought it was interesting. I learned something on your episode, Ian, about the aspect of that the two of them couldn't have the same gun because they couldn't be animated in different colours. I didn't know that, so I was like, "Oh, that's quite interesting to know."
It's just when you see a few in the shot, Cheetor's always got the different gun, and it's weird because like he'll arrive in a scene, as it were, with the usual gut gun, and then as soon as Tigertron arrives, Cheetor's magically got the second gun. It's like they've clearly had some modelling there, haven't they? 1996, we'll have to forgive them.
Oh yeah.
But, so I think, have we got any more for any more? Yes. Now this was surprised me. So this is X-Transbots. G2 repaint of their recently released Paragon, I believe it was, for their first aid. So there it is. Now, I don't think I've ever seen the Protector bots in G2 colours. Was G2 ever printed for them?
They were proposed. If I'm correct, I've got my history correct. There were some samples made their way out to the sort of the Hasbro employees store, for want of a better phrase. So there are samples out there, and there are some carded samples out there, to the best of my knowledge. So the decos certainly officially exist, but they were never made their way to mass retail. The plug was pulled beforehand.
I was going to say, yeah, because I've never seen a yellow groove other than obviously yellowing, different story. But I'm not against it. But particularly as it goes on, because to the surface, this is just a white first aid, doesn't look a lot different. Until I saw this, and I thought, well, hello, all right, that's a little different. Yeah. Any thoughts on your slightly yellowed first aid?
It's a very smart. G2 can be an acquired taste. And I really like that. I think the deco, that works really, really, really well. It's almost, I don't know if that's my screen or the way the render's done, but it almost looks like sort of metallic-y on the yellow there.
Yeah,
I think it is.
I have to say, it looks really smart, very smart.
If you go back to the combined image, you see like the hands quite metallic-y, and X-Transbots will do metallic paint from time to time. But yeah, I'm really surprised how it looks. It looks almost shattered glass to me, particularly more in the first image. Like, I think that's more of like a teal green than say the baby blue in the next image. But I'm not against it. I just was really quite taken back. I didn't think they'd do it. But look, combined as easy repaints. But seeing the color scheme, I thought, wow, that's quite telling. And that was all the news I have for you. So. Now, it wouldn't be a certain gathering, would it, if we didn't have one of these? Whether you like it or not. No, Dave's gone. Wait, look, I said whether you like it or not. You can't run away.
We're all gone.
That is a dirty trick. I shall have my revenge. Okay. So, yes, we're back to the quizzes now. What is Dave? Are you even there still? Yes, you are. Okay. Right. So the quiz this week is going to be simply countdown conundrums. It's going to be a jumble of letters going on screen. And you are going to have to work out which transformer it is. And simple way to do this is first one to blurt it out gets it right. Or first one who blurts out correctly gets it right, I should say. So let me get this all ready. I'll start off with an easy one. There's 4 of them in total. So as you'll know, there should be a tiebreaker coming at the end of it. And I'll put it on screen. So as soon as you know, make sure you're all unmuted. Can't have someone mouthing off screen, as it were. Don't roll your eyes, Dave. It's fine. Fine. Okay, we'll start first one then. Say it when you know it.
Ryan Pax.
I think I'll have to give that to Steve there. I think I'll have to give it to Steve, but there wasn't a lot in that. Maybe just internet connection maybe won you there at that one. Very slightly. Okay. 1 nil to Steve. Next one then. Travasador.
Devastator.
Very good. 2-0. Okay then. Now, hopefully someone else can get on the board here. Let's go with this one. Nedrio.
Oh, I'm not good at this.
Drill horn.
Drill horn.
I'm just going, wheelie.
No, and no.
Go on, what is it? Like
Ironhide.
It's the two eyes together. That's the problem.
And then we're going to finish off then with the only other one I did.
Bonus.
Dave gets that one. So there we are. We're off the board. And Moff, thanks for turning up.
Now, can we have a maths round? I was good at the maths round.
How am I going to make that Transformer themed?
You've got to make I don't know.
The 13 primes. I'm released for numbers at best.
How many G1 Optimus Primes could you get in a storage unit with a square footage of?
Boxed or unboxed?
Oh, never mind. Well, the winner of the quiz, which he was dreading, was Steve from Stevenage. Well done, Steve.
Well done, Steve. Well done.
Okay, so that's the entertainment out the way. Actually,
that was the entertainment.
That's as good as it gets. But this is probably a good time. Moff, do you want to have a talk? As we said, I do have something to put on screen. But, as your shirt suggests, TFUK Con coming up very soon. Do you want to? Well, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Yes, so TFUK Con is in 3 weeks' time. And oh my god, I'm big screen. 3 weeks' time.
More of you.
Got the stress is nearly over. Dave will know that feeling of there's excitement, and then the last couple of weeks before the event, you start to then go, but what about, and then start worrying. But no, we're very close. We've surpassed previous year's numbers. This is the 4th year, the 2nd year in our current venue. It's now, as I say, sold more tickets than previous years, which is really good. We've got some amazing guests. We've got James Roberts. We've got Simon Furman. We've got Bob Skier coming all the way from America. He's the one I'm really excited for. I did a virtual interview with Bob for TFUKCon 23, and the interview is about an hour long, and the call was about 4 hours long because we talked about Batman animated series, X-Men, and all these other things he did. And then it was like, do you really need to talk about Beast Machines now? And Beast Machines I actually enjoy, but it was just everything else was so interesting and so exciting. So I'm really looking forward to that. We also have Lee Bradley. Lee joined us last year, last minute, and selling his wares, but he's going to do a wee interview with us on the stage. And then we have Chris McFeely, who has been roped into doing something on the Saturday night for entertainment that I hope it doesn't make him want to not come back again. But yeah, so it's looking good. It's really excited about it. We've got a different kind of, as I say, kind of entertainment for the Saturday night. So the last 3 years has been Transformers, a show. I've done stuff, and it has been hilarious, but crazy. They are now hosting their own Friday night. So they're going to kind of do a live version of their show from the hotel on the Friday night. And then on a Saturday night, Sam from Sam's Formers and Russ from Toys R Us are hosting the Saturday night evening entertainment, which Chris will be a part of. So I get to sit back and relax and then just enjoy it. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I know you were there last year, Ian, and you took part in our kind of first YouTube panel. We've expanded that. It was really well thought of. In spite of you being on it, it was really well thought of.
Please insult me more on my live stream.
No. I genuinely, I think like everybody that was in the room found that really interesting. It was yourself, Russ from Toys R Us, Chris McFeely, Transformers Show lads talking about what it's like to be on YouTube and host your own YouTube channel. It was really well thought of, so we've expanded it into kind of more content creation. So we'll have a bit of Instagram and stuff as well, because I think, you know, the big bit for TF UK Con is it's evolved from when it's first started. TF UK Con started as the concept of very, very, very early on, before it was even TF UK Con, was a PrimeTime Toys event. And it was Greg who was going to get his PrimeTime Toys buyers group together. Literally, that was it. But get them all together in a room and just chat in real life. Post-pandemic, when everybody was just desperate to see each other. Then it moved into TF UK, and then now we're kind of trying to more lean into the whole aspect of it being the community and all different aspects of it. So the content creation is a huge part of that. So no, I'm very much looking forward to it. As I say, still nerves, still loads of wee bits, and kind of try to get things over the line. We'll get kind of goodie bags, freebies. And there are still tickets available, not many, but there are still tickets available at tfukcon.com. So if you fancy coming along, it's 3 weeks today. As I say, there'll be stuff on the Friday night with the Transformers show as well. But come along, join in. We are very small, but it is fun environment. We've got a really nice venue now. We accidentally, or we didn't, we had a disaster at the beginning of last year where our venue shut down, and we luckily get moved into one across the road, and it is an absolute cracking venue. It's got a lovely bar. They do really good cheap beer. They let us customise the menu. There's an outdoor area to sit and have drinks when the weather's nice and warm, which it was last year. And then we have a kind of wee eating area as well. So hopefully everybody that comes will have a great time at it, and hopefully there'll be a further one in the future.
Yeah, everyone's looking forward to it. And I think, like you say, people are just love the fact that there's more and more conventions to meet up and to discuss the things that we love. So that's good. Everyone's looking forward to it. It's nice that the weather's on the turn as well. So it has been well on the turn for a while. So good. No, really, really well done. I'm glad that you're nearly all sold out of tickets. It's a nice thing to be sold out for, isn't it?
Oh, it's good. Like we are the smallest of the four. You know, 4 conventions. Like, how incredibly lucky are we as a fandom to have 4 conventions that we can go to chat to like-minded people. Like, it's just amazing. We are the smallest. We've tagged ourselves as the UK's coziest fan convention, just because they're so little, we're so close together. If the weather doesn't go well, you need to kind of hug in together to keep it warm. But no, it will be a good fun event.
Well, think of it back in 2021, 2022. We didn't have any, did we? For such was the time, and here we are with 4. So let's count our lucky stars on that one. But good, no, really well done for everything you've done organising on that. I'm glad for you that you'll be able to take a little break on the Saturday.
Yes, me too.
So,
breaks? What? Do it properly, Moff. Work yourself to the bone. Bleed for your art.
There's a lot of years of pent up aggression came out in that.
Not at all. Not at all.
Not at all. Well, pent up. Yes, let's talk about the thing that I wasn't going to talk about because I don't want to talk about it. But we'll both go on to more serious news of, I suppose, world events. But I really am trying to just keep it. Transformers base. A lover's tariff. A lover's tiff. I don't want to talk about it. I don't like my channel to be politics centric at all. But when it starts impacting the fandom, you can't ignore it. So we'll know discussions in the news. Dave's had enough. Bye, Dave. Thanks for coming. That tariffs have been imposed on goods from China going to America, where a lot of Transformers are made and sent to, and not just China, of course, but China very much making the headlines. So we have seen more recently the likes of Fans Hobby have put out posts now saying that they are not shipping to America. Now, they're one of the few, if the only, can't hear you, Dave, if you're talking.
Testing.
Oh, there you are.
Yeah,
so Fans Hobby, I think they're one of the few that actually do their own wholesale or retail. They don't go to a distributor like yourself, Moff, but they put up a message on Facebook earlier this week, I think it was, saying we're not going to ship to America, not for the minute. And now it's almost every day where you're seeing the likes of Big Bad Toy Store, TF Safari, I think, as well, and
Robot
sort of
Kingdom.
more, all the sort of the typical American retailers are putting up message upon message saying what they're going to do, and even Show Z put a message up today, I think it was, or overnight, saying that they're going to have to make adjustments to some prices. It doesn't impact us in the UK, but Moff, I thought, given your background, you might be able to give us a little bit of insight. You know, have you noticed anything from your sort of day-to-day wares and trade since on this?
In my real job or in the PrimeTime world?
In the PrimeTime one.
Just because it's a kind of tariff that I would deal with in the real world as well. The interesting bit is, like, I think what you'll eventually see is that prices will go up across the board, across the globe, because they won't go, we're going to hump America with all these charges, because then they'll get nothing. If you spread the pain, and we get a slight increase and everywhere else gets a slight increase, it will mean that they don't need to increase quite as much on America. The problem is that we could wake up tomorrow and he's changed it entirely. Like, that's the bit that why these companies correctly, in the nicest way, are going, we can't take the risk. Like, if they ship it and the customer says, no, I'm not accepting it and I'm not paying it, it's then the tech for the return post, and that's a killer. Like, I don't ship directly to any country, because there's just too much hassle. So for us, our big change was Brexit. Pre-Brexit, I could ship something to France and it would be absolutely fine, no problem at all. I now ship and sell something to France. I need to register for VAT in France. I sell a Dr. Wu set of Seekers, £35, say. I need to register for VAT. It just becomes so awkward and difficult that the only way I can ship to anywhere or ship to anywhere with a VAT tax is a VAT tax. It's just like what Trump says. It's not a VAT tax because VAT has tax in it. My annoyance is to use eBay Global Shipping, and it becomes more and more complex. There are companies that won't even still ship to the UK because they find the VAT bit of under £135. They will collect the money and they will pay it for you. Over the value of £135, your shipper will deal with it. There's companies who just went, that's too complicated, I'm not doing it. Are we going to get to a point where some companies might just go, let's see if we can skip America, let's see if we can get around it? The really interesting bit is you've these companies in China who are going, look, see your American brands that are built in America. Guess what? We actually make them look. This is it here, and kind of lifting the leg, because he's going, America brands, and actually all these big brands. How much do they actually get for China, and how much do they not admit it? So it's just a mess. It's like an actual mess. Like, the people who read into it and think this is going to change America. This is going to make all the production start in America. Well, look at the aspect of how much is the living wage in America? How much do they? It's not even the living wage. How much would they expect to get paid to do that compared to what it costs to make in China? It's not going to be cheaper to make it in America. It's going to be more expensive. So, like, what?
Yeah.
Well, of course, that doesn't even include the infrastructure investment, and you guys know sort of what I do for work and stuff, and my work has absolutely nothing to do with business and profits and taxes and things. So I'm very much the outlier here. But even I can see that if you are an American company and all of a sudden you've got to spend hundreds of $1 million to build a factory that is then going to produce glasses, for the sake of argument, that cost, that initial investment cost, is still going to get past the consumer. It's simply not viable. And if I can see that, and I ain't bright, then I don't know how other people can.
In my old world, I worked for HSBC, and we outsourced calls for their lowest clients at the time when they first started doing outsourced calls to multiple countries. But the cost of setting up and doing everything was a fraction of the cost over here. But the other bit that we don't factor into it when we look at that is the absence rates, right? So in the overseas contact centre, the absence rate was less than 1%. People came to their work and were glad to come to their work. Absence percent when I left HSBC was 15 to 20% of people off absent at any one time. So it's not just there's so many aspects of the culture and the way they work that I can absolutely understand why a business outsources to overseas. Financially, yes, but actually, some of the work ethic in our Western countries is not the same as it is in these countries.
Let me just go in with one point there, which was around the likes of fans. I'm going to try and bring it back towards Transformers a bit. Pretty much everything being made in China or Vietnam or wherever. But America, we have to be honest, is going to be the primary customer in terms of volume and masses, like what their intake is compared to Europe or wherever else is we're pennies compared. Would this put off manufacturers? We'll go to Transformers for our niche world of it, but let's just pick the name of a fans hobby just because they put a note out and they'll go, well, we could almost guarantee whenever we put a product out that we'll make X amount of dollars based upon sales in North America or United States. And if we can't get that because the tariff situation is so high, maybe we won't make it at all. Maybe we have to reassess because they're going to shut up shop.
Well, think about it this way, right? You're a factory in China, right? And you've got all of these American companies coming along and saying, we want you to make this. What would you rather make? Would you rather make a plastic cup that just comes out of the machine one after the other and you sell it for pittance, but it costs you pittance? Or would you rather make a complex toy that needs paint apps, assembly, packaging, also that you can sell it off? Like, what would you rather do? Like, you would take the cups because, like, you want to keep... Now, the reason that it's in China in the first place is, as Moff said, because, like, it would be completely irresponsible to try and make this in America. Like, it would just cost too much money. And the reason that China has been able to do this, and over the last, 10 years, has gone from wasn't even in the conversation in the last 10 years as being, 10's probably generous, 20 years. China going from a relatively poor, ineffectual country to the one place that everything is manufactured. Why? Well, because it's basically a dictatorship anyway, and they squash wages and force people to work in these factories. And the other thing is, you don't want these factories in your beautiful little town pumping all of these crap chemicals from their plastic manufacturing into your atmosphere. The whole thing is ridiculous. And the problem is, as Moff says, and I 100% agree with this, Hasbro is not going to sting the American market for the entire load of the tariffs. They are going to spread it out. Yep. And I reckon that if we're not looking at 27, 28 pounds for a deluxe toy by the end of this year, I'll be surprised.
I agree.
Which means we're 18 months away from a £30 deluxe.
I mean, look, I picked up Kingdom Scorponok the other day, which is a really bloody small deluxe, but also the recent aerial bots that we got. They're deluxe, but the Doctor Wu's got half an inch on them. They're that big. I like them, don't get me wrong, but they're really small. I don't want to be paying 30 for that, but for example, I know it wouldn't be for me as such as across the way, but yeah, it's got such a knock-on effect that you almost sort of dread to read the news next. But as I say, I don't want to bring it up because it is vastly political and it could all go away tomorrow. It could also not. You'd like to think it would blow over because it's not sustainable.
If you look at the news now, it doesn't matter. Even if he does a massive U-turn now, the damage has been done. The effects have been hit. We're just waiting for it now. What is it? It's where I think we're 2 weeks away now from this I want to say it's something like the 14th of May. And it's like, because these companies work in 3-month cycles in terms of delivery, if he doesn't reverse course by the 14th of May, that is when all of the cargo ships coming from China and stuff like that will have to be turned away. And then you end up in exactly the same situation which we ended up in the pandemic, which is either you've got a bunch of ships that you have to turn away, or alternatively, you're trying to catch up, and then all of the ships try to come in at once, and you get this bottleneck. Like, the whole thing is a disaster. And regardless of what he does, the orange turnip in the White House, like, the damage is done. Like, and we're about to start feeling the effects of it. Like, and you know what? For once, don't blame Hasbro, because at the end of the day, like,
it's not their fault, is it?
No, it's not. Like, you know, it's the fault of, and I know you're saying you don't want it to be political, but here we go. It is the fault of anybody who thinks that working against each other is a good idea, as opposed to working with people. As Moff said, Brexit. Like, we wouldn't have this problem if people just were nice and got on with each other. Indeed. And realized that Beast Wars is the correct path.
There you are. Yeah. And I could always trust you, Dave, to speak the truth and tell the masses what they need to hear, doing God's work.
Exactly.
And I hope the chat is stunned in silence with this overwhelming becomings of Beast Wars. I need to watch that now. Not right now. Please continue watching the stream. Watch it later. Yes.
The only other thing that I was just going to say, though, the only one other thing that I would say is I will be very curious as to what happens with Hasbro when it comes to Lio Kaiser next year.
Oh, you literally, Dave, you literally just read my mind, because we mentioned briefly earlier that obviously seems to have been this very, very big and sudden push to get Omega Prime into the US and then get it out, and that's really, I think that's very obvious. It's obvious as to why, and we can see what's happened. But you have to assume Lio Kaiser maybe hasn't gone to the factory just yet.
Well, it won't.
I don't profess. I mean, obviously, I appreciate we've hit the funding deadline and the project is greenlit, but I'm not so sure it's actually in a factory. So
no, it's 18 months away, I think, for Lio Kaiser. Yeah. But the reality is, I think, like, I want to say, like, it made something like $15 million or something like that. I can't remember exactly what the numbers were. We were talking about it at Minicon Manchester. But obviously,
$15 million for Lio.
Well, in terms of the amount of money that they raised through the Haslam,
like 20,000 people times 300 quid sort of thing.
Like something ridiculous.
That's pretty decent. Yeah,
that's pretty decent.
Yeah.
Until Lio Kaiser now costs Hasbro double
to put it into the country.
Yeah.
Now, this is why I have not backed. Not that I say that I could by any means foresee this by any stretch of the imaginations. I'm not a fan of the crowdfunding. I feel like I'm going off on a complete different tangent here, but I don't like that. But the uncertainty of world events could be just as much reason for Hasbro not to do crowdfunding, time delay, backing, and anything else. Now, we saw, didn't we, a Mega Prime that I showed on screen. I like how it looks. I really do. I've said this before. I'll say it again. I don't see any reason why that couldn't be on a shelf in Smith's. It could still cost what it costs. I don't mind that. Does it have to be crowdfunded? Can't it just be at Tyson? You'd see a Tyson on the shelf. You used to see Fort Max in Tesco. So why would it? Why does it have to be so niche on it?
My understanding, and again, I'm always happy to be corrected, and this may be something that Moff will correct me on, is they are products that, due to their either size, price point, complexity, or a combination of all the others, they're not confident they could sell them to retailers. So they're not confident that retailers would actually want to touch them, because the retailers would have the confidence they could then sell them on. I'm always happy to be wrong, but that's the way I see it.
No, I think you are right, and I think something like Omega Prime may be considered not. Well, it's not a Grimlock. Okay, I can understand that it's not such a forefront character, but I'm not wild on the crowdfunding process. The only thing that I think should have been crowdfunded was Unicron. I felt that was separate enough and special enough to warrant it, and I get that. But all the others that have come out since, I don't say they look bad at all. I think Star Saber looked really good and all the rest of it. But coupled with what Dave just said, there's a very good point as much as any. That the insecurity from Hasbro's side as much as anyone of, well, as you say, good bit of money that has been raised might not be come the end of it. Yeah, we are. There's far too much Volcanicus talk going on in the chat. Sorry, Dave.
No, I was just going to say, I think we've just got to be grateful for the fact that, like, you know, for all of us who've been collecting for like the last decade or whatever it is, you know, we've literally gone through another golden age of, you know, Transformers, which means if you're coming out, you know, the other side of this now and seriously thinking to yourself, well, I can't afford to drop £30 on a deluxe toy. Or I don't want to drop £30 on a deluxe toy, then, you know, I think you might very well start to see a big shrink in terms of just the number of people that are bothered about actually collecting toys at this point. And then you've got to keep the faith, I guess, that enough has been done with the brand over the last 20 years that you're going to get new people coming in. But that's a completely separate conversation.
I think there's a worry on the fact that you're as you say, right, so for saying £30 deluxes, you're also saying £30 deluxes at a time where Age of Primes doesn't have something to back it up to make you go, why do I need to get these toys? Like, and I know Legacy didn't, but Legacy, the way that I've continually talked about Legacy was their homage to everything. Like, it was none of it needed, because it was like it's already got that preemptive backing. When you're going to the Age of Primes, you're kind of going to a new line, and you're
oh no,
such a good point. The internet couldn't handle it. But if he comes back, because I can see what he's saying. Oh no, he's there. He's back.
No, we lost you.
We lost it. All your very good point. Yeah. Everything you said that was so good, the internet couldn't cope with it. Yeah. But you've made the point that I've said before. I've even said it during a live stream, so I won't repeat too much. But it's like the fact that there's no accompanying media, I always think is a bit of a shame, because then you're like, well, what's the driver? And as you go with what Dave said around, if it's going to take a bit of a pause because of exterior events, then what keeps the train going? It keeps it going is the fact that we fell out of Legacy and we went into Age of Primes really quickly, just like we did out of Kingdom into Start of Legacy. It kept the wheels going, and there's always something new. But as you were saying, what kind of keeps it fresh is, well, Age of Primes is a new line, and combiners are back into it. So we've had some combiners out, and combiners are back. So what is the thought on the new combiner styles, in that they are all splitting in half and sticking on the limbs, that you can actually take them apart and make them look a bit more? I can see Dave's happy, so I'll give him first reign. What do you reckon then?
I love him. But then again, because I am 100% like a kid of Sunbow, this is basically it. Like, the guys that are running Hasbro now are guys that grew up on the G1 cartoons, so they're basically just making G1 cartoon, and like that's it. Like, you put the new aerial bots against the combiner aerial bots. You put the new Stunticons. I say new, like the 2-year-old Stunticons now against, you know, the combiner, and that's not even a fair comparison, because the combiner Wars Stunticons were just the drizzling. You know, but it's like it's so much more fun now. Like, I think that it's a much better way to do it. However, I could completely understand people who have a nostalgic attachment to their original G1 toys and like that Scramble City connectivity, which is fair. It's like swings and roundabouts. But if you like the Combiner Wars stuff, you're probably more prone to the original G1 toys. Whereas, what I would say, if you are a fan of the G1 toys, like, one of the things that I was absolutely blown away with Slingshot here is the fact that he's basically just the G1 toy. Like, his head folds in, Like his arms fold in. It's basically just the G1 toy. It's just the combination gimmick that's different. So yeah, I'm cool with it. My only concern is that we're getting the aerial bots. We're getting we're obviously getting the Combaticons, which I think is the one that everybody wants. We're getting Devastator. I'm just wondering if there's too much Combiner too quickly here, because we're about to get 3 Combiner teams all at once. It feels like Hasbro has just taken on all of the worst traits of every third-party company. And just throwing all the Combiners at us at one time.
Well, they've only released one Devastator though, so we'll give them that.
Oh, one Devastator. You mean we haven't had 9 out this week? Good lord! But do you know what though? Talking of it, seeing a lot of reviews as you mentioned around Devastator, I am amazed the amount of people that are doing comparisons of the new Scrapper and Bone Crusher that has come out and comparing it to the Combiner Wars version, which obviously was quite early and separate to Combiner Wars. It very much stood on its own. And I don't know if it looks better. Like when you look, I've seen the Scrapper that's come out. It looks fine enough, but when you see Combiner Wars Scrapper, I think, maybe Combiner Wars was better.
To be honest, though, it all hinges on Bone Crusher, though, doesn't it? That's the problem.
Yeah,
that's a bit of a. That's what your hopes and prayers all hinge on Bone Crusher. Go on, Steve.
I think what's important to remember, and at the risk of having Dave turn up at my house and slash all my tires, is that Combiner Wars is 10 years old now, and we forget that Combiner Wars is 10 years old, and technology, engineering moves on, and tastes and aesthetics and styles move on as well. So in terms of the framework combiner, for want of a better phrase, for the Scramble City bars, I think it works quite well. And if you're chasing that kind of Sunbow aesthetic, I think it really does work well. If you want that very, very Scramble City-esque playability, maybe not so much. But the other thing is we forget there's a lot of combiners that don't adhere to that kind of Scramble City pattern anyway, where you look at things like Devastator, Raiden, Predaking. There's a number of them that the framework thing wouldn't gel with.
Yeah, and this is what I was going to kind of come on to, not just talking about the limbots, but the torsos are what fascinates me a little bit. So going into, was Legacy with Menasor, wasn't it, with Stunticons? It made sense because Motormaster's trailer becomes the frame for Menasor. Totally get it. I think fans' toys are going to do that because they've got no bloody choice. So yeah, fine, that's what's going to happen. But then Silverbolt, he's got a big DJ desk. Yeah. He's gonna be a disc jockey. All right. And then I thought, what the bloody hell is Onslaught gonna do? What is Scattershot gonna do? What is Razorclaw gonna do? How are we gonna stretch this out? And this is where I think they've made a bit of a rod for their own back. And look, I've said this before, I'll say it again. I think combiners need parts forming to make them work. I'd rather have that than not, because I think it's sacrifice. It looks terrible otherwise. So you need a torso of some description. Now, but it's got to be merged in. And Motormaster was easy. It worked. But Scattershot, it's going to get a bit ropey. But I fear for Baruticus, and it's a shame because I think Vortex looks brilliant so far.
I think, you see, I'm in a totally different camp. I think Onslaught is the one way you can really get away with it because he's just a military vehicle.
It's like a flatbed trailer, isn't it?
Yeah, like you can. Put
he's so narrow. You think of even a G1 toy,
Yeah, he is. But by the same token, but by the same token, Silverbolt can just be the jet.
Yeah.
In the same way that Onslaught, it's just that he's going to come with a battle base that folds up and sits on his flatbed, I
see what you mean. Yeah. The only thing that we kind of associate Onslaught to come with is his ramp from the G1 toy, which he's more or less. So it would have to be a fairly bulky secondary trailer almost that he has to tow along with him. But the mixed desk of Silverbolt's a bit okay. So he's got that, has he?
The one that I don't think we're going to get though is Predaking.
Get out.
I don't think we need it. I think the Predaking that
Moff, I always need Predakings.
No, I agree. I think like Predaking definitely in terms of it's good because there are people that don't have that original Combiner Wars Predaking, which, as Moff was just saying there, cracking toy, just reissue it. But it doesn't fit the mold of the new Combiner style that they're going for. You're not going to have Tantrum split in half. And to be honest, and it just doesn't sort of make sense. It wouldn't surprise me if we were to get a new Predaking, they go the HasLab route with it.
That means I'm going to go and do my first HasLab, aren't I?
See, what
remind you, Takara doing like this masterpiece one. Sorry, Steve.
No. So what I was going to say is purely from a retail perspective, is when you talk about the Titan class and you look at all the figures that have been done Titan class, and obviously the City Bots are the really obvious choices for those, your Triptychons, your Fortmaxes, and so forth and so forth. Bearing in mind that we had Devastator and Predaking at the Titan class price point as box sets, I would have gambled good money on the combiners being slowly drip fed out over the years as Titan class box sets. That's genuinely where I would have thought that was going to go. And you could have had your Predakings, you could have had your Power the Primary issue, you could have had all the other ones, and maybe not worry so much about some of the individual engineering needing to be unique to particular bots.
Yeah, I think maybe the framework like we've seen kind of works for the 4, does it? Defensor, Bruticus, Menasor, Superion, and then you kind of have to rethink it. I mean, Guyver there in the chat's mentioned around Monstructor. I'd love to see a Monstructor is one I'm really kind of after. But then when you start getting into, Piranacon, you start, and Predaking as well, that style might not work for some other combiners, and they may need to reassess. But I can see it for the, I don't want to say simpler ones, but seeing Hasbro, I could just see him kind of going down, oh, that trait worked, let's do Abominus next, let's do Computron next, and they could start to suffer a wee bit.
It's entirely possible as well, though, that they do really go down the rabbit hole of, combiners even more than they already are, because at the end of the day, they realize that they've got you on the hook for 5 figures now.
Yep.
As opposed to, the 3 or 4 that you might pick up on a line. But who knows? I think it'll be interesting to see what they do with the non-Scrambled City combiners. I mean, obviously Devastator is one of them, but Devastator doesn't really fit the mold because he's Devastator. And therefore, Hasbro are compelled to make Devastator. I don't think they're compelled to make Predaking. They're definitely not compelled to make King Neptune or, whoever it might be.
Yeah, it's just the ones that we really want are the ones that we're just, in the chat there, Monstructor, be great. Will it happen? I think that's a stretch. I think we've got more chance of seeing Abominus than we have of Monstructor.
Given his prevalence in IDW, I was always surprised over Combiner was that we didn't get a Monstructor. I thought he would have been an absolute surefire thing, but clearly not.
Yeah, it's one I would really like to see, particularly with how he was introduced or reintroduced in IDW. Okay, well that's good Combiner chat. Blockies. We always like to talk about blockies, whether we like it or not.
No, Ian, we don't.
They're literally behind you, man.
Yeah. This is not my office. This is the wife's office, not mine.
It doesn't matter. Oh, and I suppose I need to quickly go on as we're not done with combiners. Drew's, yeah, we'll get there. Drew's been badgering me in a chat. I know he has. Sorry, Volcanicus should not exist. I will say the Dinobots do not need to combine. I have said it before. I will die on that hill. Thank you.
I want a Minibots combiner. Come on.
You'll have that over Volcanicus any day of the week.
Was it Toy World, Ian? You'll know this. Was it Toy World? The Throttlebots combiner?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Hasbro, give me my Throttlebots, man, please. I'm like,
it's not going to happen, Dave. I'm sorry.
I can count it on like 2 hands the amount of characters that I need for us to just go, I'm out, I'm done.
And that's why. That's why because they know you're that close, and they're not going to do it because they want you to stay.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, they then give me upgrades to aerial bots, who are like my least favorite combiner.
You're never done, are we?
No, we never are.
Never
but
done.
It never ends.
It never ends.
Yes, it really doesn't.
But then
we'll give you another. They're actually going to just give us another Galvatron. No more Throttlebot. No more Throttlebots. Just a 7th Galvatron and then an 8th Galvatron.
The never-ending Galvatrons and Siege Megatron repaints. But yeah, we'll go on then to Blockies, who have kind of taken over most people's shelves. I'm no stranger or exception to that one. So there was a Blockies event at the Transformers store in Battersea, where I was chatting to the rep that was there and talking about some of the other lines that they've been going into. So we, as the question says, we know obviously they're pretty heavy on Transformers, and they're still going on Transformers. And we're going to have a Devastator coming up soon, an actual Defender version, very small, but with the little figures combining up into a Devastator, which I'm really looking forward to. So that's great. But what other lines could they go in for? We have seen Pokemon has been thrown out there. We've seen Minions. I think that's just been announced. Sesame Street. What else do you reckon that is on the horizon for Blockies, given its popularity?
Well, we know they're doing Batman.
Are they doing Batman? I knew Marvel.
Doing Batman.
They're doing Marvel as well.
Yeah. They're doing Batman
and
more interestingly, they're doing the Batman movies, Batmans. So we're going to get a Val Kilmer Blocky Batman.
Nice. Rest in peace, Val Kilmer.
Val, yeah. Do you know what? This is kind of like I was having this conversation with a bunch of guys at Manchester. But if they can somehow do the Sesame Street guys, but then just move into the Muppets, as a whole, yeah, that would be quite dangerous, actually. Because
the name of the band, what they called again?
The band in the Muppets, Animals Band.
Yeah, I forget the name. I had it.
Dr. Teeth's.
Yeah, but
you could have all of them together. Yeah.
Yeah. I like the thing is with Blockies, I didn't like the look of the Marvel stuff. And I get that they were doing the MCU, but I've not really seen them do many humanoid based Blockies where I've been particularly excited, where I've thought I would definitely be all in for that. I think they definitely excel in a more chibi style. I don't like to use the word chibi because it's just a more deformed style of the characters. But then if you look at something like the Muppets, no, not the Muppets, rather Sesame Street, it's just kind of it's actually just the Sesame Street characters. It's actually just the Minions. So yeah, give me Muppets. I would be totally down for a Great Gonzo Blocky.
There's a really great suggestion there from Sunstreaker Titan in the chat. Turtles, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Blockies. I could really see that work.
You really could see it, couldn't you? I mean, there's obviously some things. Now, one thing I did find out that they are going to... Right. I'll quickly touch on this as well. Pokemon, and this is what the Blockies rep said to me in the store, is that it's only available in China and Asia. They haven't been able to work.
Get distribution rights for the UK because I've been trying to get stock of them, and they're just we're not getting them because our company that we see as Blockies UK isn't really Blockies; it's the distributor, and they can't get a license to distribute the Pokemon stuff. So I'm having to try and source them from overseas so I can get them for my boy wants them. He's desperate for them.
Yeah, they do look quite good, and like Dave was saying, you start doing a whole cast if you do the first generation. I mean, just like Transformers, they'll sell. It's all too easy. Yes, there are certain other sites that might help you in that regard. I may have put on screen and I quickly take down on screen. But you can also look into other things that could be coming up, such as Harry Potter, which goes into what Dave was saying about maybe humanoid faces not coming out quite so well, but we'll see. And DC characters. as being the next license to be worked on alongside Marvel. But it's kind of the world is their oyster at the moment.
When I was at the Toy Fair in January, they had a secret room that you could go in and see some of the licenses. Pokemon were there, like they had the license, but you could see them. They were gorgeous. They were really nice. They had 2 sets of Marvel, so they had the ones that were based on the movies, and I agree 100% with Dave that they just didn't look great. But they had the Spidey and his friends, the kind of cartoon ones with the kind of bigger heads that my youngest loves, and they looked brilliant because they're more that chibi style. So they very much, they're better in that style. And, you know, our Transformers don't really have that style, but it moved into that. They look great. Like they really click. And the fact you can get such a wide range cast. So I think Pokemon's the one that just feels so good. Turtles is a really good shout as well, because you can get like how many versions of all the Turtles, you know, look at all this just of Donatello, like you could go crazy with it. And it is that bit of, did it go for licenses where, and the opposite end, like look how many versions of Donatello there is, so you've got so much competition, or did it go with something like, you know, what Loyal Subjects are just doing with Mask because they've got no competition. They do that. They're the only ones that do it. If Blocky's brought out some licenses that don't have anything new, you know, that nostalgia brands, like the Muppets is a great example, because there's only ever been is it Diamond Select did the most recent kind of figures, and they're nice, but that's it for a brand that's as big as the Muppets, and the people of our circle who have got the money like Transformers, that could be a great line for them. And it's that bit of what license do you go for? Do you go for a license where it's like, how many Batman figures is there? Like, so yes, it'll be cool to have. How many Batman figures are they competing against? And then for that, are you wanting a really accurate looking Batman, or you want a wee kind of chibi model kit? That's where it becomes a challenge. So, because you could do the same with He-Man. He-Man could kind of do it, because the He-Man stuff doesn't need to look really human. It doesn't have that real bits of kind
you can still warp it a bit, can't you?
Yeah, and if you're going to do Turtles and Master of the Universe, then I think you're legally obliged at that point to do Thundercats.
Well, if you do Masters of the Universe, it's the same universe, so yeah, why wouldn't you? But it's Mask has been sort of thrown in there. You start going for what Moff was saying. You start going for the markets that aren't being tackled. Then that is just going to be floodgates that open all the more. And let's be honest, Blockies have got a reputation now, and they've been given kind of keys to the kingdom from Hasbro for Transformers. The amount of stuff they're throwing out, the frequency that they're throwing stuff out. So if they're going down the Star Wars route, you know, okay, it's Disney, they might want to be a little bit more protective.
I'm just throwing it out there just because I see it in the bottom corner of Moff's video there. Power Rangers makes perfect sense.
Rangers. Again,
man, it's there, isn't it?
Because you could absolutely do, you know, like, don't get me wrong, outside of Mighty Morphin, I don't know, Speed Time Galaxy Force, SPD, something or other, STD, whatever it is that Power Rangers became afterwards, Mighty Morphin.
Don't think it's called that.
You know, you can do all of them as the minifigures and stuff, but then you can give us the Zords as the bigger scale, you know, kind of like
in the Action Edition,
the Action Edition,
And to be fair, they've done Ultraman's one of their most popular. You know, it might not be a big popular, but it's one of their biggest sellers. So
and you sell that in Japan as whatever Power Rangers was in Japan, and then you import it over to the UK and Europe and America and stuff as Power Rangers. Like that makes, and I'll be perfectly honest with you, you're going to give me a Megazord and a Dragon Zord and a White Tiger Zord, like I'm on board with that. Yeah, like cool.
You took no convincing.
Do you know what? That I loved Power Rangers as a kid, and then as soon as I was done, as soon as I grew out of it, I was like, Power Rangers is the dumbest thing ever. And then I read the Boom comic books.
Yes.
And they are just amazing.
I mean, I'm a bit like yourself in that I left Power Rangers behind, but if I saw Build Your Own Megazord from the original series, I'm in.
Honestly, give the Boom comic book a go, because it's what if Power Rangers, but uncoupled from the restraints of having to chop TV shows together in order to make a narrative. Like, What if Rita Repulsa just decided to send a monster to Mexico City as opposed to Angel Grove? Because why does she keep sending it to the place that
Yeah,
Power Rangers are?
kept going to Angel. Yeah. Why did you keep going after this one place in California or wherever?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Maybe.
Go on,
the question on its head slightly. What other start that again. Put my teeth back in. What other Transformers universes do you see Blockies moving into once? Obviously they're doing an awful lot. It's very G1 centric. I know it's the obvious one, isn't it? But can you see?
I'm just a turntable.
Is what I'm going.
Okay. I would like to go into. We've dabbled into movies, but we're staying very G1, very pure G1, which I'm all for. But
it's been good.
I think we could go into. Oh God, I don't know. We could do all the things that we say under the Hasbro line. We could do 2001. We could do Unicron trilogy. We could do. I think Beast Wars for me is going to be it because I think they really work. And Spider-Father got this set. I forget what it is, but it's a very highly painted set. I forget if he's in the chat. He'll correct me. But they look fabulous. There's this little chubby Waspinator. I'm like, oh my God, yes, give me the most adorable Waspinator ever, please. You can have a little Inferno, like a Muppet Babies, but of that kind. I could have a little row of them. Of course I could. That would be the one for me. But there's everything you could do if you want to throw in. I don't know if the likes of Transformers Prime, if that kind of style would suit Blocky's build. I'm just saying.
We've all had a drink. Just
yeah, juice, but yeah.
Transformers is an interesting one with Blockies, though, isn't it? Because we're in this weird position where, like, say, for example, if you, and correctly, because it's the right viewpoint, believe that Transformers 1 was an excellent film, like, the best viewpoint. The best way to get figures of those characters is to buy Blockies, because Blockies have put out more characters than Hasbro have at this point.
That's very true.
And I still don't know whether or not the classic scale versus the what's
Galaxy?
Galaxy. Yeah, I don't know if that was deliberate or not. Like, I don't know if that was just a happy coincidence that when they get their cogs, they just become bigger. Yeah, and I was like, is that? Like,
yeah, it kind of works.
But the fact that if you buy the classics figures, you get, in order to try and buy all of them, you will get the alt mode of a different character. And I like that. Like, so again, this goes back to what I said at the beginning of the show. It's like, I'm getting to that point now where maybe I don't need them necessarily to always transform, because those classics figures just look excellent as representations of those movies. And that's a weird one because they're stylized in the movie to a degree that really lends itself to the Blockies format.
It does, yeah. And if you look at, as you rightly say, they brought out more under Blockies than they have done under the Hasbro line, and they're probably not a million miles difference from size-wise of a deluxe now. Yeah. So it's pretty on par.
Like, really all it would take, I think, is like one more Galaxy line, and you could pretty much like do Transformers 1. Yeah, you could have all your...
You finish it off, yeah.
Kind of main stuff, yeah.
Yeah, like, who were we missing? Like, Jazz was an important one.
Got his leg shot off.
Yeah. So we got Jazz.
Then you saw like a bit of a hodgepodge of...
Dreadwing, Darkwing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Darkwing, yeah.
Like a Quintesson, even though I still maintain I don't think they were the actual Quintessons you saw in the show. In the movie.
Dropping trues there, Dave. Dropping trues.
But I also don't think they need to go into another line of like a Prime or a Beast Wars, because there's still got so much to do in G1. And
there's literally loads.
Surely we're going to get some movie box sets for next year's 40th anniversary. Like, we're going to get some Transformers, the movie box sets. Give us a Blockies, Unicron. Like, we all want it.
You can't...
We've had
6 weeks to build the thing.
Yeah. What is it?
6 weeks to transform HasLab.
We've had one one Ultra Magnus, and that's all of season 3 that we've had so far. Like, it's clear that
and it's
that's
gorgeous,
the plan for next year.
and that's really nice figure.
That
So it makes you
Magnus
go,
is lovely.
oh, wait till we get it, because it is that they've done a great job focusing, not doing like I talked about, like, it's been amazing because it went through loads of things. They've been laser focused on let's try and get through season 1 and season 2, like, and I think that's really nice, But I want more season 3. Like,
well, they could do season 3, and then I was saying they could do season 3, and they could do all the ACOM animation areas as the chase characters,
and everyone's going to try and track them down as well.
In all seriousness, like, and I don't know, just obviously because I'm seeing your the Golden Lagoon set like behind you, but
not my Dave, not my Golden Lagoon set. Just
okay. Just saying, yeah.
You can go off someday, Steve. You can go off someday.
Oh, look, we've all got them. It's fine. Don't worry.
That is a supreme set. That is my favorite.
But do you have Marvel Comics Ratchet Megatron?
Oh yeah, that's what you've got. Oh no, put that back on screen.
Great.
Oh, stuff of nightmares.
Amazing.
Kill it. I can't believe that's how are you doing the head.
It like literally there's just there's a gap on
that's his
on Megatron's back. There's
that's
just a gap
cool.
the ball jump puts in.
I've got to do that now.
Not mine. Like, I literally saw somebody post this on Twitter or X or Blue Sky, one of these things, and I was like, I have spare ones of those. I can do that. And
no,
like, just cool.
Yes,
Look, how about, since you're talking like, for the special set, the Killing Jar repaint set.
Oh.
So Ultra Magnus, Cyclonus. Actually, it was just them two, really, wasn't it?
It was just the two of them, yeah. But they're quite happy to drop in. Well, mind you, the next one's coming out is almost a complete Shattered Glass set, isn't it? Because we get Delta Magnus is coming out, or like evil Delta Magnus who comes with it. So maybe they're going to be doing more themes. But I think we just need like a Hot Rod or a Rodimus now, and then a Galvatron. And as you say, we start ramping down season 3. But they made a rub for their own back with Combiners now, with Devastator coming out. And like, going to start going down some others. And Sunstreaker in the chat has said, how about going down Titan size? Well, I don't know about that.
Have they explained yet how the combiner parts for Devastator are going to work? Like, where we're getting them from? They have.
Yes, so you have to buy. There's this image. I didn't download it, but there's this image of like a pack sealed accessories pack, effectively. So you got the head, you got the forearms, hands.
I've seen that image. So
chest.
that's going to be sold like as a separate pack.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you'll get Bone Crusher, Scavenger, all the others in their forms as they are, and then you stick bits on them. Although I am sort of wondering, like Hook, for example, he's going to have to. This
is where I was
hinge like the old toy did,
but he doesn't because we've already got Hook.
Oh God, yeah! I thought he's one that's already come out.
Absolutely doesn't do that. That's what I was wondering.
No, he's solid. That's a good point.
So I'm wondering if that's where it's weird. Like, I loved it. I love that they're doing it, but I have questions about it. You know what though? I think if they were to do, I was surprised actually because I would have thought they would have done Devastator in the. Oh God. The size scales, man. I want to keep saying like leader class, but it's not the bigger. What's the big line called?
Action.
That's the one. Action edition. Yeah, like I'm surprised they didn't just do Devastator as an action edition.
Figure. And that size, but to scale with the normal ones.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. But instead we're getting Soundwave, which is kind of like the obvious safe choice.
Yeah. Goes down well, doesn't
Best
it?
Best choice.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And,
okay, well, as there's some people in the chat who are clearly heathens and don't think blockies are amazing. I mean, what's wrong with you? This is clearly blockies chat. That's why we're here. That's all we do. But we will go on to something else, which I'm actually going to pinch because this is a question from Steve on my podcast the other day, but seeing as we are all Beast Wars minded, and yes, it's going to be a Beast Wars question, you're going to have to swallow that one as well. 30th anniversary special coming up next year. Start of the cartoon, I think is what your question was referring to, Steve. And you're thinking, is Hasbro, or is there going to be anything special for it? And your question, if to paraphrase you, was, would they do a re-release, but it was a remaster and redoing of the soundtrack, wasn't it?
Love to see it, and I'd love to see a proper. I mean, we've really lucked out on YouTube with those the 4K stuff that's on YouTube, but an official Blu-ray or something upscaled for Beast Wars would be phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal.
Well, the first set of that 4K upscale disappeared. Like, it pulled at one point, and at that point I thought, oh, are they going to do this for real? And I was like, I'm all in, because it's good to have it on YouTube. But I like that. You know, I don't buy a lot of physical media. That's something I'd buy in physical media. I would like. I've got the American DVD versions, and I bought the VCD versions, like from Taiwan back in 2001 or something. And
I've got of all the random versions of Beast Wars. I've got the I think it was Madman is the Australian label. I've got the Australian DVD box set. It's got quite a few extras on it, to be fair.
The interviews with Bob Forward and Larry DeTilly were really interesting, like on those DVDs.
So I've got the German release because it's the only thing I can get working on a Region 2 DVD player. But, you know, watching it all back, doing the podcast, we're just watching it on YouTube with the 4K upscale, which Steve and I have spoken about a few times as well. It's, you know, it's great when you see it. And some episodes really bloody work. Some of them are absolutely shining. You think, please do it as a box set, Blu-ray. I will pay you the monies, and I will have that in my collection. Yeah. And it's something that I could see for a 30th anniversary. Now, I'll prefix this before we start getting into what they could do, and whether it's toys and media or whatever else. Are Hasbro even remotely interested in special occasions? Because there has been, correct me if I'm wrong, anniversaries of things, and nothing's kind of happened. I know it was 40 years last year, but there's been anniversaries of Armada. Okay, maybe we got a few toys in Legacy, but Prime's had a birthday as well, hasn't it? And things like that. And there's no big fanfare around it. Keep me honest if I'm missing things, but they don't seem to go for these celebrity milestones.
You get a couple of bits in there. I can cast my mind back to the Transformers Universe packaging and things, and we were getting stuff like, 25th anniversary sort of flashes in the corner of the packaging, if you can recall those. Transformers Prime, so there were a couple of 10th anniversary re-releases. The US market finally got breakdown. The sort of the Voyager size breakdown mold, which was one that had been glossed over due to cost complications, and there was a 10th anniversary release of one of the Megatrons as well. So they do them, but they don't do them anything like on the scale of the sort of stuff we were seeing across the 40th anniversary. It's almost like a little nod. Yeah, fantastic. We've acknowledged it. Let's put it to bed and move on.
Yeah. It like last year was the 40th anniversary. And, if you were to take the the cinema experience of going to see More Than Meets the Eye, parts 1, 2, and 3 in the cinema.
You can't say it without laughing, can you?
I can't, because it was so dreadful. Out of the equation, if you were going to take that out of the equation, would you have known that it was the 40th anniversary last year?
Well, this is what we were saying. It wasn't the most 40th anniversary I've ever seen. It did. I mean, yes, there were things, but that it wasn't like a Diamond Jubilee, was it? Where you can't help but escape. And this is where I'm thinking, like, it is 30 years. That is a nice milestone. What could they do? Well, they could do a lot. Would they do it? Do they have an appetite for it? And that's where I'm coming on to a point I want to say. And I've said this as well on the podcast. So I'll repeat myself for those who have listened to it. The toys that got reissued, that Volts has mentioned as well in the chat, they did not sell well. The old toys, and it's a crying shame, for some of them are absolute belters, but truth is they just didn't, and that is not going to help.
And I've said this before. I think the reason that they didn't sell is because Hasbro was 10 years too late to the party. Like, if you look at it, like, I don't know. My story, I think, is quite there for the 80s, step away from the 90s, come back in the early 2000s for the 20th anniversary. What happens there? You go from being a kid to going to college, to getting a job and having a bit of disposable income. And what's that gap? It's 20 years. Whereas like with Beast Wars, when we were getting the toys, they were out. That like it didn't line up. And I think they just missed it a little bit. And that's a shame. So I don't think they've got any appetite to do anything.
They almost seem to be competing against themselves a little bit with those Beast Wars reissues, because the Kingdom stuff, and then the Kingdom stuff was very good. The Beast Wars Kingdom stuff was very, very good. And to see Beast Wars Megatron, a vintage reissue Beast Wars Megatron, on the same shelf as a Kingdom Beast Wars Megatron, just seemed a bit doubling up to me. You know, I appreciate that you could argue they're aimed at two different markets, and I get that. But from a consumer perspective, it seemed a bit odd. If anything, Dave, when you say they were a bit late, potentially what they've done is they've jumped the gun. And if we got those reissues next year, I wonder if they'd sell better.
Entirely possible. But the other thing I suppose we have to consider, and I didn't think about this until Sunstreaker posted it in the chat there, 2 anniversaries in 1 year, bearing in mind it's the 86 movie. And let's be honest, as much as we all love Beast Wars, that movie is like the linchpin of Transformers. Like, even if you don't care about Transformers, you probably...
That's fine, but to the point that we were saying then, Dave, is like the anniversary celebrating has been crap, has been non-existent. And they've done that for... for their disposal of entire shows, toy lines, whatever you can do. Yes, 86 is the bread and butter. It is what people like us go back to. Other than re-releasing it, and maybe there's a vinyl coming out. I think we've already seen
there's a vinyl coming out.
What else are they going to do based on the trend of celebrating that they've done already? If it was muted for 40 years when it all happened, not just, well, I know it was 40 years from the cartoon, but the toys came out just as quickly. It was all pandemonium at once. Are they going to push the boat out for a movie? Just one film that sadly famously tanked in the office.
Missing like Unicron, boom. That's it. That's all we need next year.
I mean, that's probably one thing that they could do. Is just actually getting that prototype Unicron toy coming out. I mean, I'll go on to what
is there an appetite, do you think, for a Studio Series Unicron? I think there is.
As in a mass retail one?
As in one. Most likely like a Titan scale. And I don't even know what a Titan scale would be now, because obviously with Star Convoy, like, I'll be perfectly honest, and I've said this before, I own the HasLab. I transformed the HasLab. I transformed the HasLab back, and I sold the HasLab. Like, it is a horrible toy. Yeah. Like, and I will not hear an argument against it. Like, it is wonderful in planet mode if you have space.
It's a beautiful part of a collection in planet mode if you have space. If you don't have space, then it's not. So I agree, and I think that's where, like, a joke, like I would love a missing link G1 HasLab, G1 Unicron. I think lots of people would, but I think your point is right. Like, a lot of people went in for the third party Unicron because it was smaller, and
more
going bigger is not always the best way forward. Like, it is. I've got it on my shelf, and it's gorgeous. The HasLab Unicron in planet mode. It is an absolute centerpiece of the collection. It takes up so much space.
Yeah, it's like an old TV, isn't it?
And let's be honest, like, the Armada Unicron is still belter. Yeah, it doesn't have to be massive.
No, the repaint of that into the kind of more modern version. When they did was it Amazon did it at one point?
Well, Moff, they've done that 3 times now. They've done that 3 times. You had the Takara did the version 2010 or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Amazon, you're quite right, did it, I think, under the platinum branding. And then I'm pretty confident Hasbro did it in that old style kind of red Generations Master and branded it as some sort of masterpiece or something, not too dissimilar. So yeah, there's every possibility we could get that again under Studio Series.
I just want the movie in the cinema. Proper UK release. I know Americans had it loads. We just get shafted all the time. Give us it in the cinema. I'll speak to Hasbro, get it around TFN time, make it a perfect let's have it after TFN or before. Celebrate once.
Let's just absolutely not have, with all due respect, the voice cast coming back to
bless him. Well, we're going to say then, for the 30th anniversary of Beast Wars, it would be great to see the 1986 movie back in cinemas. That's gonna be the anniversary. We've answered that question.
I don't think we'll get DVDs. I wish we'd get. Sorry, I don't think we'll get Blu-rays. We never get Blu-rays or DVDs of the Transformers G1 last year. Like, it's because they've given it away so free. Don't see value in it. Do they feel the same with the Beast Wars animated? And I think that's a problem, is that we can all see, having looked at that 4K one, you think and go, I'd love to own that, because that's in an official way, easy to access. And because it's unofficial, that could go tomorrow. Like, when it went first time last year, when it went, I was devastated. I'd watched it all, and I was like, oh, I'm going to do this again at some point. And then it disappeared, and I'm like, no, I wish I had this. But I just don't think they'll do it.
I was listening to somebody talk about if you're a wrestling fan, the WWE has now moved to Netflix. So they're moving all of their content slowly over to Netflix. But over the course of the last few months and stuff, the WWE have started creating these new YouTube channels. They've created a Nitro channel, which is just going to upload loads of WCW stuff. They're creating YouTube channels for the Vault. And I was listening to a guy and he was making the argument, which was that I think these companies have now realized that actually, if we just stick this media free for everybody to watch on YouTube, the amount of money that we make in AdSense recurring is, there's no risk to it compared to putting out a DVD that's not going to sell. I mean, most of the time you can license it anyway. But
the WWE one's an interesting one, because see, for the network, when the network was up, I get rid of all the old Tag Classics DVDs. I get rid of all them because it was just the events. But I kept all my special discs. So see all your Bret Hart interview ones where it would have 3 discs worth of extra material. I kept all those because they would put up the special, but not the rest of it. Yeah. And I think that's the way you can get away with having the free to air stuff on a YouTube, getting your ad in. You can also make money on the physical media as well if you make a really good version that has enough stuff on it that there are people who go, I want to know all those extra bits.
Oh, and that's where we are with what I think with the Beast Wars side of it as well. It's like that 4K would be great to have as a piece of, something to have in your collection like a trophy. But in terms of, as you say with the wrestling, how often do you see clips from WrestleMania that just happened up onto YouTube because they know they'll make money off the adverts? Now Hasbro could do exactly the same thing. They do show, don't they? You see on their Hasbro channel, they stream episodes, G1 cartoons from time to time. If they almost did it as semi-regular events or something that you can go and access, like Dave was saying, like with the Nitro stuff, then they'll do it that way because they'll make something constantly off it rather than a one-time sale. Yeah,
like I know if I'm in the mood now for a Transformers episode, I'll just go to YouTube because it's all there, and that's great convenience for me. I think in terms of Beast Wars for next year, 30th anniversary, Hasbro just finish off the Beast Wars cast like we're like 3 characters away.
You mean in the Masterpiece line?
No, just in terms of like the Generations line.
All right.
We're Quick Stripe, we're Depth Charge, and we're Rampage, and that's it. Come on,
Well, Quick Strike's already been confirmed, hasn't it? I've seen that name in a listing. I don't know if I've seen Depth Charge and Rampage. But we're so close, aren't we? I'll give my 2 things just to kind of close off this point. Is that I don't see it, but if I would like to have it, could they do anything? And I answered this as your question, Steve, on my podcast, which was I'd love to see an Axelon, Titan and scale Axelon. I'd have that all day long. But to the follow-up point, and I can see this being HasLab if they wanted to do it away from Beast Wars, but for 86 or anniversary of 86, HasLab Autobot City in full gold. I've said that before. But yeah, that's something that could easily be. But yeah, 2 clashes at the same time, 30 years of Beast Wars and then anniversary of the movie as well. And as Sunsuka Titan said, would they have 2 anniversaries going at once? But they just don't seem to go too heavy on anniversaries. And it's a shame because we want to celebrate it. It's nice to celebrate these things, but 40 years felt very subdued.
I think Beast Wars is a difficult one as well because it's such a self-contained, beautiful 3 seasons, and you can turn around and say, well, what about Beast Machines? And I would say, yes, absolutely. Beast Machines is god tier cartoon. But that I think proves to be difficult for Beast Wars because every single time somebody has then come along to try and do something Beast Wars, you're like, yeah, but you really didn't need to, did you?
Well, yeah, we could see, as you and I have said, the remake and the Netflix cartoon of Code of Hero episode.
Why did you think you could do it? Why?
Of all things you didn't need to do, that is one of them.
Yeah, it's like, but also as well, it's that weird thing of like people coming away from Beast Wars and going, oh yeah, Code of Hero. It's kind of like saying, oh yeah, Superman, Death of Superman. That's the only thing that you know it about because it's the popular one.
Well, yeah, it is the popular answer, isn't it? But yeah, I mean, I just keep thinking of like what else they could do with the 86 celebration. Streaming again in the cinema will be the only thing. I can't think of anything else that they could celebrate it with. What else do you do around a film?
I could definitely see them do another 4K release.
Yeah, there'll be another special tin release, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I think we need a live Vince DiCola concert. That's what we need. Needs to go on.
Dave, how's the agenda looking for August?
Again, mate, if you want to watch the agenda, I'm totally down with it.
Oh man, yeah, that'd be a thought, wouldn't it?
Well, it would be, except for the fact that if we put it on, a lot of kids would be like, "What's that? It doesn't make sense. Why does the CGI look terrible?" Like, because it was literally the second. Yeah, it was literally the second show that was made like that.
But what a show it was!
Yes, that's true. Yeah, the 40th anniversary of the 86 movie. I mean, there's still a lot of Studio Series toys they can put out. We're still waiting on Studio Series Megatron, whatever that's going to end up being.
Actually, I'm just going to say it now. It's fallen. It's what it is.
I think it could very well be. But actually, I was just thinking is there many Studio Series 86 toys left?
Well, they're doing most of them under just Age of the Primes anyway. So you just you slap a different badge on it. It's more or less the same thing. I can honestly see like Missing Link just taking over.
I think it's Missing Link RC. I think it's going to come.
Yeah,
end of the year, beginning of next year. I think they might just drop it at the beginning of next year to be kick off the 40th anniversary, and that's a grail for a lot of people.
Get it done.
But I think Missing Link's the most exciting line going because they've done in such little releases already. They've shown, what's capable, what they potentially could do, and it's just exciting. You don't know. Like last year, that was the big excitement for me was Missing Link because it went. See everything you know about our hobby, everything you know about G1. We're just going to turn the tables. Bringing back Sunstreak in a mold that we thought was gone. Bringing RC, which was a toy that was never finished.
Never had,
Articulating mini bots. They started with Prime, which was the most obvious, and then they went, we can also do mini bots, tick. Right? We can also do toys of molds that are gone, tick. And we can do toys that were never released, tick. It literally makes you go, nothing's on it off the table. So,
but this is just they much like with blockies. This is kind of like wiping the slate clean. Like we haven't seen this before. We know with Chug where it's going to go in the generations line. We know combiners, so we know who's going to come more or less. But when Missing Link, it's basically like you're going to do Soundwave, surely. You're going to do Starscream. You're going to do Shockwave next. Megatron, probably not. But you'll go down.
Could be done because they've done really well. She's a Megatron in Japan. It did the Carrot Masterpiece Japan as a gun.
Yeah, well, like 2006 by now. It's a long time ago.
Yeah,
you won't see Megatron as a gun again, mate. I'm sorry.
I don't know. I think Takara would do it because obviously Missing Link's not being sold in the States. Like,
true.
And that's the reality. The only reason I don't think you would necessarily get a Megatron Missing Link is just because of the fact that, it's been 20 odd years and we've still never had a Masterpiece Galvatron. Why? Because they just don't make bad guys, really. Except we're like, how many Starscreams deep now? 4.
I know.
They threw out a lot of Seekers in the Takara side, but they go for heroic Autobots that sell, definitely. I think they don't go for the evil.
Missing Links and the rumors that the next 2 Missing Links are Ultra Magnus and Grimlock. I saw that news and I was a little bit disappointed by it because I was like,
no, Decepticons.
Because I was like, that's a bit obvious, isn't it? Like Grimlock, just give him knees and that's it.
It's one that needs the least retooling, isn't it? But it's a bit like we're saying it's the big 6, isn't it? You do your Optimus, Bumblebee, Grimlock, and then you can really go on the other side of it, although less so for Missing Link with Megatron, Soundwave, Starscream. There's your big 6. And then you can go a little bit further afield and say Shockwave, Magnus, Hot Rod, whatever. You can start doing that. But as you say, it's a bit obvious, but they weren't going to leave them off the table.
I want to see them challenge themselves. Give me an absolute brick of a G1 toy where you've just thrown all of the articulation into it.
Trying to think of the most brickiest one.
Missing Link Hot Rod, that would be amazing. Pink Missing Link Hot Rod all over that.
We just got pink Hot Rods, so let alone getting a Missing Link one. I'll be very happy with that. I mean, Rodimus Prime with articulation wouldn't be a miss because that was largely just amazing. Legs, wasn't it?
Yeah, and that's Static a figure legs. Where you could really easily just add articulation into it.
I never had the original one back in the day, so that would do me fine. But everything else was just kind of bendable elbows.
I was just checking because I was sure I was right. The reissue in Megatron next year, Masterpiece Megatron. I don't even know I was doubting. I've got it on.
What, Takara?
Order. Yeah, Takara. I've got a reissue of Megatron next year.
When was the last time that was reissued?
I don't know. 2013 when it was initially released.
You're talking about the second Masterpiece.
Yeah.
Not the one that was. That's probably more Missing Link though in terms of its articulation and turning into a gun. MP36, the only transformation I abandoned halfway through. And said no, never again.
And it was so much better than the first one.
For the first Masterpiece Megatron was the first time I ever watched somebody break a toy during a review on YouTube. Literally snapped it in half. It was like, oh man.
I spoke to Nick from Toy Fu at my first TF Nation, funny enough, and he said to me the quickest I could do it was 45 minutes. And I was just like, technically, my clock's still going. Because I just haven't.
The world record for the slowest MP36.
I got to a point where his chest was sort of mostly cannon, but his arms and legs weren't. And I was just like, I'm not. No. He's when he's a gun, then what? What am I going to do? And he's back in robot mode. He's a great robot mode, and he's been there forever.
So while we're talking about Missing Link, question for you guys, right? Because I've purposely avoided getting into Missing Link, right? And the reason for it is because I became really dispassionate with the Masterpiece line about 10 years ago when I became fully aware of the fact that the only way that you were ever going to be able to complete the Masterpiece line was to go deep down the third-party rabbit hole. Because Takara were never going to be able to do it. Whether it be for legal reasons, like they couldn't make Jazz or whatever it is. or alternatively because of the fact that they just didn't want to create a masterpiece Galvatron. So I was like, right, that's it. I'm done with that. And that's part of the reason that I've stayed away from Missing Link. But now they're obviously in a situation where they've just kind of abandoned Masterpiece because now they're creating MPG, which is just their excuse to rebrand the Masterpiece so that they can just do all of the toys again. Is anybody like concerned about Missing Link because of the fact that you know that you're not going to get any of this? And do you think third party will bolster the Missing Link line the same way that they bolstered the Masterpiece line?
Well, there was already I'm just very quickly. There was already a masterpiece. No, a masterpiece. Sorry, apologies. A third-party Missing Link styled Grimlock that was, which is bingo toys. So that kind of rabbit hole's already open. But Moff, please, you'll know far more about it than I will.
Yeah, like you're right, Dave. Missing Link will never ever redo everything. So see, as soon as you know it's never going to do that, you don't need to think it needs to do that. And I think that's the Masterpiece kind of went down the. It did feel as if they were going to try and do it. At first, it felt like they were going to go like what Blockies have done. Maybe let's just do the first 2 seasons. If you just do the first 2 seasons, or even if you just did, let's do a Masterpiece of everything in the first season, and then go on. And they have done that. Like you can go out and get everything from Series 1 and Masterpiece. I'll make sure I'm right. And if you do that, you can like simplify it down. That's what I did. But you're never going to get Masterpiece of everything. But equally, Hasbro's not giving us everything. As you said, Throttlebots. Still waiting on Sure Shot 10 years later.
You won't get, like, there's so much. And like you said, Dave, to me before, that's the beauty about Takara doing down Beast Wars. Because it's a finite amount of cast members. They'll finish them. You know, they've only got a handful more to do. But if you went through every G1, and if you really went into like G1.5, Japanese continuity, I mean, good Lord, there's how many out there?
Oh, no, yeah. You know? I mean, you need to sort of set your boundaries 100%. Like, you know, I've said it plenty of times before. Like, my whole thing is like, if they appeared in the Sunbow cartoon, then I want them in figure form. And like I say, about 10 figures away, and I could, you know, because did we ever think we would get an Alpha Trion? Did we ever think we would get Ryan Pax or an Ariel or a Dion? Like, no.
No one thought we'd get a Dion.
Nobody wanted a Dion. Let's be honest.
We didn't want it even when it came out.
Oh God, you remember when they repainted G1 Cup into Dion?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Ryan Pax rather, and Wheelie was repainted.
Yeah. Sketchy.
I miss the mid 2000s where you could just get away with some weird shit.
I think Dave, to come back to what you said about the Missing Link, I think part of the appeal for me, and I have gone very heavily in on the Missing Link, is what I'm really enjoying is those decos that they're doing that are not sort of G1 centric decos. So we had the Sentinel Prime. You know, we've never had the Optimus trailer in those Sentinel Prime colors. Obviously, we've got Corden coming along with Spinner. I am not in the position, and I'm certainly not in the position where Mrs. S would ever entertain me buying a vintage tire clone police car. That's not on the radar. So that gives me that opportunity to have that. And then you look at the stuff, you know, like the RC, the unreleased stuff as well. So for me, irrespective of whether they complete the roster or not, that's where Missing Link is showing its appeal.
Oh no, I totally get it. Like, I mean, I'll be perfectly honest with you. If they'd kept it to Optimus Prime, I probably would have bought Optimus Prime. And to be honest, I probably will end up buying Optimus Prime.
You should.
I'm surprised you haven't already.
Well, no, to be honest, it was the announcement of the mini bots that scuppered it for us, because I was like, no, like if it had just been a 40th anniversary one-off special piece, I would have been grand with it. But now you're forcing me down this rabbit hole. But yeah, I do wonder whether or not third party is going to pick up the baton and start creating, because let's be honest, Sunstreaker is a brand new mold. Like, it's not the original Sunstreaker mold. They've rebuilt it from scratch. So
from ground up.
If they're able to do that, then of course third party but then again, I don't know, because like I don't follow third party enough to know whether or not they've just moved away now, and we get smaller scale figures.
The other one that's coming from third party is Scorponok. They're doing a Missing Link Scorponok.
Yes.
Now that's interesting, because all I think is me Fort Max.
Like you will get it. You will get it.
Sir, pardon?
G1 Scorponok articulated. I'll send you pictures, Dave.
Can we get someone to go to Dave's house, please? He's not well.
So the other rumor is that they're going to repaint it as Black Zarek as well.
Oh, nice. What comes out?
That's because the same as like the RC, they're doing it in cartoon colors, and they're doing it in the prototype colors. Like they should. Like these companies should absolutely repaint to get the maximum value out of their molds. I have no issue with that. If you're then doing if you can do new Scorponok mold articulated, why would you leave money on the table and not do a Black Zarek repaint? Because you could make like that Metro, the cheap ass Metro Titan that was going around last year, like 30 quid, and it's not an accurate repaint, but it's very close. Stupid fun for its money, and it's the same company from all the rumors that are now have went, we are going to rebuild G1 Scorponok for the ground up, and then went, well, if we're going to do that, why not articulate it? And if we're going to do that, why not then do a Black Zarek? And they have already shown some of the colours to try and get the right colouring. So that will be a really interesting piece.
Yeah. Do you know that one would be quite interesting, for somebody like me who's really only interested in modern Hasbro, like in terms of the legends and stuff. A fully articulated Generation 1 Scorponok would fit the Scorponok need, because let's be honest, on a shelf, the Titan just doesn't work. It's like space consuming.
It takes up a lot of space, and more or less just kind of, I mean, you see the kind of way I've got Scorponok and Fort Max, and Metroplex is more or less just sitting down in the middle because I can't do anything else with him.
Yeah, I was going to say that I've got the Cyan Culture. I can't do this point, but Cyan Culture Scorponok. It's really nice, and that's actually kind of fits on the shelf. I mean, that's in my Wee Legends collection, but it fits better in a collection than the Titan one. But the G1 one looks, and I think the Missing Link will be interesting if you get, when it gets the character you're like, or a toy that you love and know so well, and you're like, I need to just experience that in a new way, because opening and experiencing Missing Link Optimus Prime was like being a kid again. It was genuinely like experiencing the toy for the first time. A toy that I have owned multiple reissues of. I have owned it from 1984, so I've owned the toy for 40 years, and it felt like experiencing Transformers again like a kid. It was the best experience I've had in Transformers in a long time, and it was an absolute highlight of me last year. And it's why I'm like, when I then got the Bumblebee and the Cliff Jumper, I'm like, these are really cool. Just again, similar bit of I had the mini bots, this is great, and I've never had a Sunstreaker, so I'm excited because I'll get to experience Sunstreaker. And I think your point, Dave, is the third parties will absolutely continue down that avenue because it's money. There's how many fourth parties I've done. There's fourth party KOs of toys that haven't got molds. So, like a lot of the headmasters have never had reissues, have had KOs. There's loads of KOs of stuff out there that have not had reissues, so i.e. they've not got the molds, so they've built it from the ground up. So how much more effort is it to then go, well, let's take that technology and add a little bit of articulation and then make a Missing Link? Interesting.
Does somebody do the RC repaint of Chrome Dome? Like,
I mean, it could happen, couldn't it? I mean, I got the Sentinel Prime one. Not that I was, I really got it because it just reminded me of the first truck that gets scanned, and I just like that's kind of all I wanted for.
Oh, they knew what they were doing. Like,
unbelievably so. And I was not that caring for articulated, but when I got it, and when I started hearing the ratchets, and as everyone said, this is the toy we should have got. I'm like, this is lightning in a bottle. This is amazing.
It's not just
And
the articulation, but it's like the molding on his wrists and stuff. It
feels right as well.
Premium.
It feels good. It does feel like everything. It's so stupid to say because it feels like exactly what it is. It's a great design with modern engineering, and that's all you can ask for any of your toys to have to be brought up. You still got the nostalgia is driving that through the wall.
Yeah.
But it's when you can feel in the plastic and in the metallic parts and how good it is. It's like that's all you can ask for updating of 40 years, and it's so good.
I really want to chat to somebody who only collects G1 toys, like doesn't collect anything else other than the original toys, original releases, and know how they feel about missing link. Are they going to buy an RC because it will aesthetically go within their collection, or is it not kept in a G1? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's obviously it's not a G1 toy, not released in the G1 era, but it's a G1 toy. Like, I think I would love to hear that kind of viewpoint. Like, I don't have anybody like. We're all very similar in terms of we collect a lot of the modern stuff. I've never really been a G1 toy collector because I didn't have them. But I'd love to know for somebody who's a diehard, I only collect G1 toys. I don't collect anything modern. What do they think of it? And I'm hoping that TFN, I'll have somebody that I can talk to, because surely in that plethora of collectors will be somebody who's just like, nope, stick your lovely new articulated figures up your butt. I don't want them. And I'd love to just know what you think.
I want the falling away plastic.
That's probably it, though, isn't it? Like, the deterrent, I guess, of accepting RC as a G1 figure is the fact that it will have more articulation within the missing link line than it would have had when it had originally come out. So it's technically not a true reflection of the figure that was going to be coming out anyway. But then, they just need to re-release Unicron. And then everybody
As with anything Transformers, it always comes back to Unicron.
It does.
And on that point, on that bombshell, I think we'll say goodnight for the evening. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me this evening. Steve, what is going on with you? I noticed a few episodes going up on a certain YouTube channel that has been started. Do you want to talk us about how it's been going? Great episodes, of course. I've been listening to them. But what have you got in the pipeline coming up for us?
So I'm still trying to aim for the every other Thursday. So I've managed to stick to that so far. So every other Thursday there'll be a little retrospective on a Transformers comic book. We're starting with the Marvel G1, which just seemed a really obvious place to start. So far so good. Seems to have been well received, and certainly thanks to people like yourselves for putting the word out for some of the positive feedback. Still checking a few photos out on socials every now and again. We had a bit of a catastrophe at Chateau Skywarp a couple of weeks ago. I broke my treadmill, which what can you do? So the running pictures have been, the running pictures have been a bit lacking. But as Dave said on social media, what that treadmill could have told you about Transformers podcast it's that treadmill has probably forgotten more about Transformers podcast than any of us will ever know. But I have a new one now. I have a new machine, so it's back on it. So yeah, all good. But thank you, mate. Every other Thursday, I've got a couple of bits lined up for the channel. So I've got a couple of podcasters who have both agreed independently of each other to come on and do a little chat around some Transformers comics of areas of their interest. So those will just be kind of sort of not live streams. They'll be sort of pre-recorded things, not too dissimilar to your stuff here. So we'll see how that goes, see how it gets received.
Nice, good stuff. Looking forward to hearing it. Moff, let's go to you. So, we've spoken around UK Con. How's things with PrimeTime? Let's talk around PrimeTime.
PrimeTime's good. I did a deep dive into my stock this weekend just to kind of start prepping for TFUK Con. Realised I had some stuff that I thought had sold and hadn't sold out, so some new listings went back up this weekend. There's
some nice
deals.
Stuff I've seen.
Yeah, and then I've got a couple of specials for TFUK Con as well. And then post TFUK Con, I'm hoping to have a small break of quietness, and then we get to TFN in August. And we talked about Neil Kaplan earlier on. Like, I am extremely excited for TFN this year. You know, I've been going to Transformers conventions since 2012. Feel privileged enough to have been welcomed kind of into the TFN family. Like, and I say this to Dave and I say this to Billy, like the warmth and support I felt at the last for the last 2 years has just been incredible. And then this year we get the absolute joy. And when I was talking to Billy about sponsorship, he's like, I've got a PrimeTime guest for you, and I'm like, huh? I mean, he told me who it was. I was like, I cannot wait. So I feel privileged to be in that position to be working with TFN and kind of about to support in that way. And if anybody saw me at Minicon, actually, we have a T-shirt that's going to be, this is the PrimeTime Toys version of it.
That's
on it. That's our staff version, but this T-shirt by Looking Tees will be available at the convention to pick up as well. And there'll be some, we're actually pulling together some other fun, like promotional stuff, just for kind of a bit of fun for on the day. So I can't wait for TFUK Con. I can't then wait for a break for a wee while, and then it goes full into TFN. And I don't imagine my prep for TFN's anything like yours, Dave, or Billy, the rest of the team. But I still have to take the week off beforehand to kind of look at all the stock and go, how am I filling this table? How am I filling this incredibly sized van? And make sure we've got a bit of something for everybody. And, you know, I think every year I've learned a little bit and developed a different style of what kind of stuff to bring. I'm in the headspace. I always want somebody to be able to get something off the stall. So, you know, if we just supported third party, there'd be people who just wouldn't want anything from us. So there's a bit of official, you know, we've got some missing link. We've got then some, we had like, the desk mats and stuff like that at the Minicon. We've then got all the other toy lines as well. So a wee bit of everything. I'm kind of hoping that Mask might be out by that point. The date that is still on my distributor. I'm not officially allowed to tell MD that we're going to have some Mask toys because that's on the embargo. Just don't tell MD.
Thanks for the exclusive.
The dates on that are July, so there's a chance that might actually happen. I don't think it will. I think it'll be delayed because I think the initial conversation was it was meant to be July on Big Bad and then released everywhere else. So I think it'll be later in the year. But imagine we had the Mask stuff. I'd love to be able to bring that to TFN. So we'll see.
We'll never say never.
I know. But yeah, so busy.
Good stuff. And then Dave, we'll finish off with you. We often talk around TFN with yourself, but I thought today we'll talk around a certain new show that you've started with Andy Ride, talking Transformer toys.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it's a good idea. Please don't talk about TFN. Just women at the minute. I'm like, trying to get everything sorted out.
That's why I don't ask you.
No, I appreciate it. Andy and I were chatting as one does about stuff, usually probably about the garden or something like that, and we started talking about doing a little show talking about toys because, you know, there's not that many people on YouTube talk about Transformers toys, so we thought, it's a market that needs filling. And we've done it in a different format, which is rather than necessarily sitting down and reviewing it, we just talk about it and talk about the modes. And I think it's good because, you know, I've said a couple of times in this show already that you might transform something once and then put it on the shelf, but that's, you know, you can have quite an insular experience with Transformers. So I think it's quite nice. Certainly I found it quite nice talking with Andy because you spend a bit more time thinking about it and actually having to consider your opinion on something. And it just sort of gives a bit more appreciation for what makes a really good toy versus what makes a mediocre toy. You know, I would never have realized just how much of an upgrade the aerial bots are if I wasn't forced to, for the sake of the video, go back and have a look at the Combiner Wars and realize what a decade's worth of engineering and a 25% price rise means for a figure, you know.
25%.
You know, exactly. Probably like more like 50%, to be honest. But like, let's
don't
be
depress
honest.
me. Come on, let's leave on a good note.
You know, but yeah, so we're doing that, and then obviously we're getting ready for August.
I'm enjoying your long form video interviews as well, Dave. The longer ones,
very
I
much so.
them really good. So keep them
Yeah,
up as well.
thanks.
Yeah, keep up the good work.
It's just a case of like getting on and just chatting to people about Transformers and just, talking about anything, to be honest. Usually whatever it is that they're interested in, because I tend to find it's a fandom that is massively diverse in terms of what you enjoy. One of the ones that I did recently, I did with Patrina, because Patrina grew up on Armada. And it was
Armada,
that was really interesting.
That's a show that I now have a weird nostalgic attachment to, because it is 20 years on from Transformers Armada. Actually it's 20 plus years now, but and so going back to like Armada has been quite interesting again, because it's all out on YouTube pretty much. And yeah, so doing the long form stuff, all part of TFN, but it's just creating content and putting it out there.
Bit of fun along the way.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. And then we've got the show coming up in August, and there's something really cool that I can't talk about just yet.
Damn you. All right. Well, gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me this evening. Thank you, everyone, for watching. I'll put all of the details to everyone's socials, to their websites, to wherever you can find them. Go and listen to their podcasts and their shows. Thank you very much for joining me this evening. And as always, I will see you on the next one. And the stream end.